All right, so what's going on, guys? We got another Nietzsche aphorism for today, and this one's from the book called Daybreak, and this is aphorism number 178, titled Worn Out Daily. Let's get right into it. Now, this one reads, "These young men lack neither character, nor talent, nor industry, but they have never been allowed time to choose a course for themselves. On the contrary, they have been accustomed, from childhood onwards, to being given a course by someone else. When they were mature enough to be sent off into the desert, something else was done. They were employed. They were purloined from themselves. They were trained to being worn out daily and taught to regard this as a matter of duty. And now they cannot do without it. It would not have it otherwise. Only these poor beasts of burden must not be denied their holidays, as they call this idleness ideal of an overworked century in which one is for once allowed to laze about and be idiotic and childish to one's heart's content." So there's a lot to digest in this one, and I feel like this is very applicable to the modern man. And you're going to find this in a lot of Nietzsche's writings, that the reason you can apply so many of his concepts and aphorisms to today's modern culture is because he really understood people from a psychological level. So many past philosophers were so pie in the sky, talking about concepts that didn't really exist. It was almost as if they were imposing their own will to power onto you. And Nietzsche talks about this at length, that past philosophers really weren't talking about tangible things. They were just kind of saying, well, this is what I believe, and I'm going to provide the justification for it. And he kind of tore this apart, from the Stoics to Kant to Plato. I mean, he would just say, much of what they're talking about is useless trash. I'm really going to get down to the nitty gritty here. Now, this aphorism reminds me so much of capitalism and the modern working man. Let's just break it down line by line. So, at first, he's saying these young men don't lack the talent or the industry. So he's saying that everyone within themselves does have the potential to be great. It is in there. But something happens very early on. They are told what to do. Now, this can happen in school or at home, but in a lot of ways, young people are not taught to think for themselves. In a lot of ways, school is sort of this indoctrination process. Noam Chomsky talks about this at length as well. And I believe even Albert Einstein talked about this too, where he was just bored in school all the time and he felt like it was a chore. And then after school, he could actually start his learning. He could actually focus on things that interested him and really proliferate his own talents and knowledge in a way that would help society. So society really needs to reevaluate its ways of teaching the youth, because in a lot of ways, it's making the youth subservient and not free thinkers. Everyone's sort of thinking in the same way, sort of falling under the same paradigms, and just not breaking free of that bubble, because there's so many different ways to think. But if you allow people to frame the argument for you, you're going to really narrow your own scope, and you're not going to really find true happiness. Whether or not you get involved in like the political debates, Democrat and Republican, again, very narrow scope. They make you think in a certain way. Well, if you don't believe this, then you're that. If you don't believe that, then you're this. And it just goes across all sorts of boards, even in the anime community, like casuals and elitist. Well, if you don't like Full Metal Alchemist and Dragon Ball Z, then you're just an elitist and you're a snob. Or, if you don't like Angel's Egg, Technolize, Neon Genesis Evangelion, if you don't think those works are masterpieces, well, then you're not really an anime elitist. You're just a filthy casual. So, you got to get out of these paradigms. You got to think for yourself. You have to say, well, what's really the truth? And you have to determine that via experience and via thinking for yourself, reevaluating all these decisions in life. Now, on to the next line. Now, this is really cool right here. He says, when they were mature enough to be sent off into the desert. Now, he puts that in quotes. This is very relevant because in his latter book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche talks about the 3 transformational stages. He talks about the load-bearing camel, the man who takes on all these responsibilities, basically does what he's told, and is just basically a subservient beast, and doesn't really think for themselves. And you have to break free of this. Eventually, you have to say to yourself, no, I am not going to do what society tells me to do. I am not going to think the way society tells me to think. I am going to think in a different way. I'm going to set up my own life, and I'm going to break the mold. And this is when you become the lion. This is when you tell people no, and you follow your own path. The problem with the lion, however, is once you get to this stage, it's only an intermediary stage. And if you don't elevate yourself to that of a child, now there's a key difference here, because you want to become a child in the sense that you are free of social constructs and you are free of biases. Because think of how a child thinks. They're very free-flowing. They're very playful. Everything is creation. There are no biases to hold you back. There are no preconceptions of what is right and wrong. You just do. Now, childish is, which is referenced later in this quote, is kind of acting like, like a mama's boy almost. Like, you just kind of expect your parents to take care of stuff for you. Or you're not really leading a life of creation. You're just sort of getting wrapped up in this consumerist society where you just take in stuff to use it, like say Netflix or movies or video games, and you're not really using that creative energy to make something that's impactful, something artistic, something that's going to change people's lives, something that's going to make people think about things in a different way, like Crime and Punishment, or Nietzsche's works, or Mark Twain's works, or Camus' works. This is what you should be striving for in life, not these temporary pleasures that just kind of give you that moment of dopamine, and then you kind of hit that peak, and then you're back in the valley again looking for that next rush. So very important in terms of the camel, you got to get beyond that stage. And we're kind of all trapped in this, in this capitalist society where, to survive, you need to take a job. But hopefully you are looking for creative outlets, something that you can do in your spare time, and you're not just exhausted and just looking for sensory pleasures to make you forget about a hard day's work and trying to get you away from the real problems in your life, whether that be depression or anxiety or the fact that you just don't feel like you're accomplishing anything, or that existential crisis. Very interesting line here. They were purloined from themselves. Now, purloined refers to steal. So they were stolen from themselves. This is very interesting because it's almost like he's saying you repressed your creative spirit, like you almost put it in jail, if you will. And you just kind of said to yourself, you know what? I don't need to express who I really am. Society has certain expectations. I'm supposed to get a job. I'm supposed to get married. I'm supposed to have children. I'm supposed to do this and that and the other thing. And that will make me happy. But will that really make you happy? Or are you just deceiving yourself into thinking that will make you happy? And then you're going to get to the age of 40 or 50 and you're like, what the frick have I done with my life? Is this really the life that I want for myself? It's like you're going to be mowing the lawn one day and saying, Jesus Christ, yeah, I got food. Yeah, I got Netflix. Yeah, I got children, but what did I really do with my life? Is this it? And that's where a lot of people hit that middle-age existential crisis. And, you need to look for those creative outlets. You need to, whether it's create a YouTube channel or write a book or make a painting or, run for office to make social change or do something that makes your life feel more meaningful. Because I'm going to tell you guys, I got a regular job and it pays the bills. I'm very financially secure, but at the end of the day, it doesn't give me a lot of satisfaction. It's not something that I'm going to look back at when I'm 60 and say, man, that was awesome. Like, I really did something important with my life. That's the whole point of the YouTube channel and writing reviews, is to kind of get those creative fires out of me so that I feel like I'm actually creating something worthwhile, something I can look back at and, man, that was cool. Like, that was fun. Like, I made people laugh, or I made people think in a different way. So that's kind of the little bit of wisdom Nietzsche is trying to get out of you here, is don't be that beast of burden. Try to find ways that you can impact people and impact yourself, because at the end of the day, gotta make yourself feel like you're doing something purposeful. And, I know in today's society, a lot of us look forward to vacations, getting away from that daily grind. Look forward to the weekends where we can just kind of slump around like just happy idiots and watch our shows or hang out with friends or go to the bar and get drunk. But maybe take that time to read a book. Maybe take that time to write your own book. Do something with your life. Maybe just set aside like an hour on the weekend and just say, I'm going to do something, well, almost like a homework assignment, if you will. Now, in school, homework assignments were very prosaic and very, hey, do what I tell you to do. So it's like there's not a lot of creativity there. But once you graduate from school, that's the beauty of life. That's like Einstein said, you can start to actually learn. You can actually pursue your own creative interest. And find something that you're really interested in. Like, if you want to study physics on the weekend, man, do an hour of physics every week. And man, you'll just see yourself improving. Or if you want to start painting, or do something that's going to have a lasting effect. Even if you never become Vincent van Gogh or Friedrich Nietzsche or Stephen King, or, very few people are going to be great in life and famous, but you can still have an impact on people. And you want to have that creative energy in you where you don't come home from work and you just feel worn out and tired. And look, I've been there myself. Like, there are days where I don't want to make YouTube videos, and I just say to myself, you know what? You don't want to do it, but it will make you happy. Like, that satisfaction when you finally finish a project is absolutely amazing. And you can even transition this into like your physical health as well. There are days I don't want to work out. I don't want to get on that treadmill. I don't want to lift weights. But that satisfaction when you finally get that workout done, I mean, there's nothing like it. You get the endorphins going, the blood's flowing through your body, you feel healthier, the oxygen's just like racing through your blood. It's like, holy cow, that feels amazing. As opposed to sitting on the couch eating a bag of chips where you just kind of feel tired and you start getting bed sores and you're like, oh, I don't feel really good right now. So you need to find that energy within yourselves. And hopefully, very few of us will be able to do this. But if you are feeling worn out daily from your job, you got to look for a new job and maybe become your own boss, maybe start your own company, or find an outlet where you can support yourself so you're not as reliant on the current economic and political systems. I know getting away from it is virtually impossible, but there are ways where you can be sustainable and not be reliant on, say, a corporation that, is paying you peanuts compared to what they're taking in. So hopefully that all made sense. I know it was a little bit jumbled, but I felt like there was a lot of great information that was very tangible to today's struggles. So yeah, that's all I got for this one, guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the flip side.